to deal with crowds like that. I'm going to be there on New Year's Eve with my son. He'll be in town. We have hotel rooms, so we'll stay there then.
We are live now. I just kicked us in. Oh, nobody's here. Oh, we got three people watching us. Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? We got Greeny and me and Charlie, and I think Spencer will be along here if he didn't fall asleep. He said he was going to be here. But anyway, we're all still alive and kicking. Everybody's doing good. But,
Yeah, I finally made it back. I almost got on the show last Saturday, but I was sick as a dog, and I still got this cough. I don't feel quite as bad. I mean, I didn't have COVID.
yeah,
There's just really something wicked going around over here. I don't know what it is. Some sort of upper rust, or, like a chest cough thing, bronchitis or something.
Sure you don't have COVID? Did you get tested?
Yeah, I took a COVID test.
Yeah, good.
I
So
just
yeah,
had
what's our
COVID
topic
once.
tonight? Do we have a topic or just
well, I
general
thought we'd
topic?
just talk about some of the stuff that's changed, since COVID has let up. What you're seeing down there and what I'm seeing up here. The businesses are starting to open up. People are starting to move around, and we're getting a lot of tourists up here.
Well, this morning I had a chore to do down in the Sukhumvit area. I had to go to a pharmacy actually, and I stopped in M Quartier. For those of you that might not know, that's a big fancy mall in the Sukhumvit area of Bangkok, and it was crowded. I got there about 11 o'clock Saturday morning. There were a lot of people there. The light rail, the BTS was crowded, and there's a lot of tourists there. A lot, and it's not, 2-3 months ago it was mostly Indians and Saudi Arabians, and now it's Europeans and white Farangs and families and real mix of different kinds of people, and it's getting crowded. So as the rainy season comes to a close, people do appear to be coming at least to Bangkok, and for me, I was looking the European tourists none of them were wearing masks, not even inside. And I mean, I was, just because I live here and I'm still being polite, I suppose. But the Thais is still covering up. And to me, I'm a photographer and I'm looking to take pictures of people. And I'm like, when are you going to take your damn masks off so I can take your pictures? Take your smiling, happy face. But I'm going to the States in 2.5 weeks. So maybe by the time I get back in February, that'll have shifted.
Yeah, I've seen that question posed, a lot in the Facebook groups. But up here, everybody was wearing masks up here before COVID. Most everybody, not only because of the smog and stuff, but it's a common thing for people to, you go in the market and some people would have masks on, some wouldn't, but even before COVID, they wore masks. I mean, she wears one, anytime she goes out, and so I think that's part of it. But I'm seeing a lot of people in the city now, that nobody's wearing a mask. They're walking down the streets. You walk. Used to be you had to have one walking in 7-Eleven, but you don't anymore. If you do, fine. If you don't, nobody says anything. So it's kind of whatever you want to do. I don't know. But
I'd say the Thais here probably still, I don't know, maybe 60-70% still wearing masks, but it's less than a lot. I've noticed a lot less, and none of the Farang are wearing them. I haven't worn one, and I don't even know when the last time I put a mask on.
Yeah.
I had this little cough coming back from this movie. I wore a mask. That was it.
Yeah, about the only time I wear one is if I go into 7-Eleven. That's about it. Other than that, I don't walking around, forget it. Doing videos, no, I'm not going to wear a mask. But if I walk into 7-Eleven, I will.
Certainly, the crowds are coming back, and in bigger numbers than people were predicting 3 months ago. It looks like this tourist season, in the absence of anything weird happening, will be pretty big. I think there's a lot of. It certainly looks to me, based on what I saw today and in recent days, that there are a lot of people coming back. And I live on Ekamai Road, which is a busy thoroughfare. I live just off it, but it's a busy uh, thoroughfare here in Bangkok, and it's kind of on the edge of the downtown area, and it's been slated for development for the last decade, and that development started to happen just prior to the pandemic, and now it seems it's as I walk from the BTS back to my house, which is about a 20-minute walk. I passed a lot of places that I could see are, cutting down the weeds in their front, in their front yards, and cleaning up the windows and stuff. Construction crews are back in place on unfinished projects, so things are definitely coming back to life here in a pretty big way, which is good to see. I mean, the crowds are a pain in the neck, and you can't get a taxi that easily anymore. But at least the city is back to life.
But one of the things I'll tell you, one of the things that I noticed, and I'm coming down to Bangkok in January, and I started looking at the prices of the hotel rooms, and back when I came, a few months ago, the same hotel room I was paying 600 or 700 baht a month for is now 1,700, 1,800, and so they're starting to raise the prices back up to what they used to be, and I'm seeing that a lot. But
the COVID discount is over.
Yeah. They're gonna get your money. They're gonna get your money. Now, somebody was telling me the other day, and I don't know if I talked about this last week, but they flew into Don Mueang Airport, and they couldn't get a taxi. They said all the taxis were at Suvarnabhumi, and they really had a hell of a time getting out of the airport. I don't know if that's still the case or not, but he had a heck of a time finding a taxi that would take him out of the airport. So I don't know. Now up here, our airport's busy all the time now. You see cars coming and going, planes coming in, and boom, boom, boom. So there are definitely a lot of people coming into the town. And you can notice it too. Before, I used to drive up into town and I could get up there with no problem, get around no problem. Now it's just massive traffic up there. So they're here and it's good, and you can tell that, hey, kitty,
Special guest there.
yeah, he don't look too happy. But
she's never happy.
Not
a friendly kid.
But the thing about it is the people, you can tell the difference in the attitudes of the people up there. The locals that live up there, they're happy to see everybody coming back. So
I'll bet, yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of them were hurting for a long time. So see what happens. I keep thinking, I kept thinking that after Loikatong, the bottom would drop out again, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They're still
it's getting
coming.
crazy down here.
Really? Get a lot of people?
Traffic. Yeah, I mean, I had people tell me, "Oh my God, they got the fireworks this weekend at Pattaya Beach, and we considered going there, but all my friends are like, oh, if you don't want to deal with people, don't come, because it's just a complete madhouse of people, just craziness."
Sounds like the concert I went to last week. Go ahead, Charlie.
I was following what was happening in Pattaya today on Twitter, or the aftermath, I suppose, and that was the general complaint, was like there's no place to park. But a few people were joining in on the conversation, and they were saying, well, if you didn't have a car, if you got there without a car, and you were walking distance to wherever it was that you were staying, that it was a real fun party kind of atmosphere. And I bet you it was. It was very festive. It's crowded, but it's Pattaya back in action. The big party city has a party going on again, and that's good news, I suppose. I mean, it's not my thing anyway, but I'm kind of glad to know that I'm happy to know that it's there.
Yeah.
In case I feel debaucherous one day, I know where to go.
That's funny.
You don't have to go too far, Shirley.
Yeah, that concert we went to last week, I have never seen so many people in one place at one time. And, remember when I took you guys up to the mountains? That's the road that we had to travel on to get there. That 2-lane road going out, and it was backed up for miles. And then when you got there, there were no more parking spaces. All the parking spaces were taken. Luckily, we were on the motorcycle, so we parked the motorcycle. And then we had a 2 kilometer walk through the mud just to get to the stages. And we stayed there for about, I guess, about an hour and a half. And
Was this the Beatles you did all that to go see, or what?
it seemed like it. I don't know. They had it was a two-night ordeal, and it was 2,400 baht for the both of us. And they had bands on 2 different nights, and it was just, they had 3 stages. And the funny thing was, they had all the stages kind of facing each other, so you heard the music from all of them. It was just a mess. And we got there, and the first thing I told, like, I want a bottle of water. So we walked up to the place, and no water. They'd sold out all the water they had, and it was a mess. And we left at about, I'd say we left out of there probably about 8:30, and had to walk all the way back to the motorcycle. When we got to the motorcycle, I had parked it kind of on the side of the road, and there were like 2 motorcycles parked behind me. I had to pull those out and then pull my bike out and then push those back in. I told her, that's enough. I've had enough. But,
sounds like the Woodstock 2.0, where they got everything wrong.
It's about, just real poor planning on their part. I mean, they had, they sold all these tickets, and they had to imagine everybody had to get there somehow. And then the next night they said, don't even drive your car out there. Hire a red truck to run you out or whatever. We didn't even bother going. I said, there's just no way I'm going out there facing that again. I said, we're lucky we made it back from the first one, not the second. We're not going to try the second one. So, but it was a mess, and just, like I said, more people than I have ever seen in my life. I've never seen that many people in one place.
Well, I went to the original Woodstock. Ha!
Were you at Woodstock?
Well, I didn't get there, but I did set out to go. But because it was so crowded and traffic was so crazy, they shut the highways down going in.
Yeah.
I never did get there, but I could at least say I tried.
Tell them what really happened. I mean, there was no cell phones back then, but one of your fire guys sent you some smoke signals. Oh, Charlie, they're not letting you just tin your way in. You better just go back home. Buy a ticket or go home. And Charlie's like, wow, the fire badge ain't getting me in. I'm heading back home.
That was long before my fire department days.
Yeah.
Okay.
That had to have been a real mess.
That was 69, so I was 19.
Damn.
And
I can't think back that far.
But 1969 it was a hell of a year, especially for New Yorker. 1969 was the Woodstock Music and Arts Fair, which was not at Woodstock, it was at Bethel, New York, but that's another story. They had already made the posters. but it was the moon landing. Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy were both assassinated. And for New Yorkers, the Knicks, the Jets, and the Mets all won championships. So it was a busy year.
It was James Earl Ray and Sirhan Sirhan were the 2 responsible parties.
Yeah.
They were what?
A little trivia for them.
James
I'm just
Earl
saying,
Ray.
most people would know James Earl Ray and Sirhan Sirhan are the people that killed those people. Killed.
Well, Bill knew one of them. Bill knew one of them personally. What was that?
I met James Earl Ray once.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
It was. I made a video about it, but I had got called. He was in Brushy Mountain Penitentiary, which is a penitentiary way up in the foothills of Tennessee. And we got a call from the warden out there. He wanted to shake the jail down in the middle of the night, and myself and about 5 others from different agencies with drug dogs all piled up in there one night, and it was the spookiest place I've ever been in my life. It was wild. It was all foggy rolling in. It was the middle of the night, and you could see this place off in the distance, and big stone building and rock ledges all around it. And we're standing there, and the one girl that organized it all, she called the warden and said we were there. And he comes pulling up, and he pulls up in this old station wagon. And he gets out. He's a little short guy. He's got a hunchback. And he's kind of looking at us like this, and he's got that eye going up. And I said, "Oh shit, this night's going to be crazy." But anyway, we got up into the prison. We started searching the cells, and I got up on the second tier, and I was searching. This old man come walking out, and I went in and searching the cells. I wasn't looking behind me. I just wasn't paying attention. I was watching my dog. And I turned around, I looked up, and he's like, right, the guard's got him. He's right over my shoulder there. He's got these glasses on. He's kind of looking at me, And I finished what I was doing, got out, and I didn't know who he was. And the guard says, "You know who that was?" I said, "No." He said, "That's James Earl Ray." I said, "Damn." But very uneventful. He was just a real frail old man by that time. And in his room, he had a black and white TV set. He had one of those old manual typewriters, and that's all he had in his room. But
Wow.
it was kind of, yeah, after I got out of there, I was like, damn, But that's the only famous person that I think I ever met. Well, he's not really famous, but he's the only real, yeah, infamous person that I met. But
one of my yoga students here in Bangkok, he hasn't been here since prior to COVID, but a guy named Richard is a psychiatrist, and he works on a consultant basis for the California Bureau of Prisons. And so I call him, he's Charles Manson's psychiatrist, which technically he is. Charles Manson and probably 500 others, however many they keep in that prison. But so yeah, I teach yoga, or I taught yoga to Charles Manson's psychiatrist.
I never thought to ask you, Charlie, but you're probably familiar with this place. There's a place called Kirby Mental Institution between Queens and when you're going over the bridge, going from Manhattan to Queens, it's to your right. That looks like a little Alcatraz. You familiar with that? Kirby?
I am, but what did you call it? What was the name?
Kirby, I think. Kirby.
I never heard that name. I know the place that you're talking about because right on that island is the fire department's training facility. So,
okay. So you're familiar with the mental prison that I'm talking about, though, right?
Yes, I'm trying to remember the official name for it, but it may pop into my brain during the conversation.
Okay. Well, a girl I know that I used to work with, she used to be a police lady in Detroit and Radford, where I did, and she ended up, that didn't work out, but she ended up continuing to go to school and getting a doctorate in psychology, and that's where she works now, dealing with the craziest murder. Yeah, she still works there, as far as I know. Last time I saw her, last time I was in New York, that's where she was working. She'd have to get off work, pick me up at the airport, take me to her place, and go back to work.
Yeah, it's one of those, post World War II kind of Art Deco buildings. It looks like a prison. I guess it is a prison
it's
too.
Scary
It's
very.
Yeah, it's for the really crazy people. It's undergone a lot of changes over the years because the way they manage those people has changed a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with its state right now, but that's Randall's Island is where it's near. And Randall's Island has a couple of facilities, but one of the big facilities there is the New York City Fire Department Training Center is on that well. And so yeah, it's right in the middle of the East River by Hell Gate, I think they call that, is the waterway there, because it's a very dangerous waterway.
That's awesome. Those places are spooky. Spooky is all.
Oh yeah.
Get out. Did you ever go out to Rikers? Charlie, did you ever go to Rikers? No.
I've flown over it dozens of times because it's in the approach to LaGuardia Airport, but no, I've never had the pleasure.
I've been in Michigan. We have a thing. It's called Jackson State Prison. That's the big high security prison in Michigan. I've been in there quite a few times. You almost feel like you're, when you got to go in those places to pick up a prisoner or conduct some business, it almost feels like, you're a prisoner,
Yeah.
Stuff that you go to, like, it's just crazy.
I hated
going to prison. Yeah.
My only experience with prisons was the prison. They used to call it the Tombs, and it's the federal detention center in Lower Manhattan, where Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That place.
If there was no video of that guy, That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Well,
Impossible.
at any rate, there was a fire in there. I guess they have fires very often, and the guards are trained to deal with it, I suppose. And but I had to respond. I was just working an over. I didn't normally work in that section of time, but I was in I was on an overtime tour in a different company. As a matter of fact, I was in. Who's that guy's name? That actor that always likes to talk about being an ex-fireman. The one who was played Donnie in The Big Lebowski. What's his name?
The Lebowski, or
Yeah, he was Donnie, the guy who had the heart attack at the end. That's what's his name? The actor.
I know Jeff Bridges was Lebowski. I don't know who else.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges, and well, at any rate, that actor was a fireman before he was an actor, and apparently he was a good one. He had a good reputation. And I was working in his company. He wasn't there at the time, and we responded to the tombs. There was a big fire there, so they called us. They wouldn't let us in. You know, they were like, well, you can send in 4 guys. And we're like, that's not how we operate. It's like we would negotiate. It was the first time as a fireman in New York, a fire officer at the time, that I was at a facility that there was actually a fire emergency on the inside and we couldn't get in. weren't allowed in. And we never did get in. Apparently they got it under control by themselves. Our big chief, Dave Corcoran, he went in and he came out and he was like, yeah, they're handling it. They let 1 guy in. so you know, they restrict entry. And that's about my, you know, the sum total of my experience with prisons. Yeah.
We used to have to take them up there to Brushy, and you'd pull up to this 2 big steel doors. There you couldn't from the car you couldn't see the top of them, and then they had a guy in a sniper tower up next to the gate, and he'd lower a basket down. I'd have to get out of the car and put both of our guns in the basket. He'd wheel it up, and then they'd open up these big doors, and we'd drive in, and then they'd close them behind us, and then they'd send three of the biggest guys they got and come out and just snatch the guy out of the car and close the door, and we'd back out and get our guns, and off we went. But it was when you hear those doors slam, it's a feeling that, you know, even though you know you're getting out, it's just one of those feelings that oh shit, you know, am I ever going to get out of here? You know, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, and my first 8 months on the job was working in the jail, and I never got used to it. I mean, I never. You know, you never relaxed, and you never got used to being confined in a small area, because the way our jail was set up, you had to come in through the front, and you walk by the booking desk, and then there was a big court. They had all the isolation cells in a little square, and then we had 2 doors. You'd go through a sliding door in a hall into a hallway, and then they closed that door, and then they'd open you up in the back to the back. And in the back was like a big gymnasium, and there were like A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, there were like seven pods back there that each housed about 50 people. And you know, you'd have to walk in, and every 30 minutes you had to walk in and open the doors up, walk around the cells. And during the day, you know, they were out. You know, you just did your job and went on. But it was awful nice for 8 o'clock in the morning to roll around and get out of there for good. I was happy to get out of the jail. But now, you know, working with prisoners in the jail, I learned a lot about the criminals I was dealing with out in the street, you know, 8 months later, and a lot of them knew me. So it kind of had its benefits, but, you know, I wouldn't want to go back and do it again for anything in the world.
Yeah.
Not something that
I was actually hired when I got out of college, and I was looking for jobs. Actually, I had a job opportunity, and it was at Wayne County, which is in downtown Detroit, you know, and everybody starts off in the jail there. Now, I was already certified. I had my, you know, police certification, so I might not have ended up staying in the jail that long. I might have got on the road patrol or in the court or anything else, but I had to wait like till the next 2-week jail class. to start the job. And then in the mix of time, I ended up just working at I got a job at a suburban just police department. So I ended up turning that job down. But if I didn't get the job that I had, I would have ended up, something similar to you. Now, the good thing is those big departments, you have so many different opportunities, thousands of people working there, and you got a lot more opportunity than you do at an 80-man police department. But
Yeah.
that's all right. I'm happy. It turned out all right.
I found the name of the guy. I have my laptop underneath the phone here. Steve Buscemi. That's the actor.
Yeah. Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I've heard that before.
Steve Buscemi grew up in Long Island, near New York City, and I remember him telling this story. His father encouraged him and his brothers to get civil service jobs, cops, firemen, corrections workers, these kinds of jobs. While they have their drawbacks, they pay decently. You get a lot of time off, and you get a great retirement package, which I'm appreciating now. And so he took his father's, but he always wanted to be an actor. I mean, and he had done acting, but he took the test for the fire department. He became a fireman. He was assigned to 55 Engine, which is Lower Manhattan, not too far from where I worked as a lieutenant in 5 Engine. And while I never worked directly with him, he was there while I was. We just never crossed paths. And he had a good reputation. I think he was there for a total of 3.5, maybe just under 4 years in 55 Engine. And he had a really good reputation, which is not easy to come by. I mean, firemen don't float compliments out unless you deserve it. And they always said he did well. And then he went on to be a famous actor. But, he's gone back there. He goes back and he has dinner with them in the firehouse. And he still talks fondly about those days that he worked there. It's a very... most of us love our job in the fire department. He loved it too. He just loved acting more, and he went on. And good thing he did.
If you guys would have crossed paths, you probably would have been the actor, and he still would have been the fireman. If you crossed paths.
Yeah. So yeah, Steve Buscemi, that's the guy. Yeah. Also, I have a theory that I'm sticking with on. Who's the guy who didn't kill himself?
Epstein.
Yeah, I know you're talking about
Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. He actually did kill himself. I believe in the official report, which a lot of people laugh at me when I say that. With good reason for all that was going on at the time. It was kind of a weird thing to happen. But the reason I believe in it is, it's twofold. And the main reason is there were 2 corrections officers, a man and a woman, who were disciplined for that. They stood trial. They had to go to trial, and I forget what they did have to undergo some kind of punishment. They were never put in jail. I think it might have been probation or something along those lines, but they pled guilty to these infractions of doctoring records, which I could see happening. We had logbooks too, and sometimes you would fudge the logbooks I would never do that as an officer, but as a fireman, that kind of stuff went on. It went on in the fire department, showing on the corrections department. I would guess that it went on in all, municipal departments, there's logbooks. You make entries about things that you did. And that's what they pled guilty to, is fudging the entries in the logbook because they were taking a nap. And that's not unusual because they were understaffed and overworked. The thing with corrections, especially the federal corrections in Manhattan, nobody wanted to work there. The federal people made less than people at Rikers Island in the city and state prisons. But the reason people took those jobs is you could make a whole lot of money on overtime. There was unlimited overtime available because they were always understaffed, and they were required by law to have a certain amount of people there. So you could work unlimited overtime and make, $125,000, $150,000 a year. This is back in the days, 20 years ago when I used to work there. It might even be more now, with the overtime, which is a lot of money for a blue collar guy without a college education, and all these benefits that go along with it as well. Like I said, the retirement, the corrections guys get to have a gun. If you like that kind of thing, I suppose that's.
You know how you can make more money than that overtime?
I'm sorry?
You know how you can make more money than that overtime? By leaving the room when the cabal tells you to, so they can take care of the business they need to take care of. But let me tell you, I worked at the federal courthouse. I worked, with the U.S. Marshals for 8 years. You know,
You were at the U.S. Marshals?
I worked for them for 8 years after I retired. I was the court security at the federal courthouse. We were special deputy U.S. Marshals because
Oh,
we
yeah.
were all
Did you know
retired
Howard
police officers.
Safer?
Huh?
Did you know
No.
Howard Safer?
Was he in Flint, Michigan?
He was the deputy director of the U.S. Marshals.
Oh, no, he probably never stopped into the Flint court to visit. Most people are a little intimidated by Flint, Michigan. But anyways, I mean, Billy, you worked in a jail.
Yeah.
I worked in, we had our own lockup and stuff. And somebody that high profile, whereas that's already on a suicide watch and there's no cameras, it's just things like that just don't happen. Okay. And there's too many people that have bit the dust suspiciously surrounding this whole thing. There's just a lot of reasons why they would want Epstein goodbye, kaput.
It's quite possible.
If you go all the way back to his first trial where he got off with nothing, okay, that doesn't happen either. There's a reason why he was let off and didn't face the consequences that he should have. That initial time where he was charged in federal court, where they just slapped it, he was going to get this big punishment, and then boom, it just went away. And they didn't consult with the victims. It's all very, very shady. And I could talk all day about what he was really doing and what Epstein's real job was and stuff, but I don't want this to get demonetized or anything. But there's a lot of, I'm not naive, and I was in law enforcement 30 years. Bill knows things happen. There's powerful people out there that have their own little organizations as powerful as the CIA. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
Anything can happen. There's no doubt.
I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. It's just reality, and I don't want to be. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's my thing, and I'll kind of leave it at that. There were a lot of people that were happy he wasn't around anymore.
Oh.
And I think for a long time there are a lot of people, and they still may be sweating a little bit because they don't know what his girlfriend's going to say. But I don't think she's going to say anything because I think she knows the writing on the wall. But there's a lot of people that are happy that he's dead. Whether they did it or not, who knows? World Class Coroner in OJ case said it wasn't suicide. Yeah, that's funny. But
and then Michael, what's his name? I know
you. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The forensic pathologist.
Yeah,
Michael,
the expert,
the big guy. Anyways, he did an autopsy and said this injury is not. This is a strangulation injury, not a hanging injury. So he's. They do get some wacky decisions sometimes, some of these media forensic pathologists, but I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff out there to talk about.
I have stories too. Well, I love your opinions from my experiences. A nearly early neighbor went to jail to start for sheriff and was too nice, quit law enforcement. That's seen that happen before. It's again. I'm going to say this, that there are a lot of people that was glad he never opened his mouth.
And besides that, all these people that are happy, little secret, there's videotapes of every one of those people.
Yeah.
And so those people, what's that thing that you control like this? It's like a little puppet. Yeah. Somebody's got those tapes somewhere.
Yeah, I'd say they do. It's
that's how you control the rich and powerful.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the thing that pisses me off the most. They've got a list of names, but they won't release it. Or they and
that
we're
doesn't
not
do any good to release them. If they have what is it called? The marionette?
Yeah.
Controlling a marionette, You don't want to release those names. You release once those names are released, those people are useless to the people that control those people. Do you
Yeah.
understand? There's a lot that
Yeah.
goes into this, and I'm not saying who the head people are. They could be from a number of different organizations. And you guys, people think I'm crazy when I talk about this, but look into if if the CIA is in Russia and they want to exploit a high-ranking official or rich person in Russia, how do you think they'd go about convincing that person to do what they want them to do?
Yeah.
They
Well,
get the moose. They
I've
get the
seen
moose and
movies on that
squirrel after
before.
them.
Yeah. No,
Huh?
I've seen the Moose and Squirrel. Yeah, I remember that program. I've seen documentaries about some of the stuff that they've done to get people to turn, and it's pretty amazing what they're capable of doing now.
Oh,
You know, it's
people think everything you see on TV, oh, that's TV, that's conspiracy, that's not real. Oh, it's real. I mean, where do you think they get this stuff from? I mean, it's espionage, it's big government, it's big corporation.
we
It's
don't
you know,
we don't have the first idea of what actually goes on. We just don't know. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to know. I just want them to protect the
right.
American people and the government. So, you know, I don't I don't ask. The FFI movie on Netflix is very good. I'll have to watch
FIFA.
that.
Oh, I saw
FIFA.
that. Yeah, I have to watch
I haven't
that.
watched that one yet. I'll watch it. But yeah, you know, it's kind of spooky. Um, but you know, that's how they do business. You know,
Yeah,
what do
it's
you,
people are gonna watch this and rewatch it, and they're gonna be like, God, that Greeny's a friggin' whack job. But just in the small experience from being in, working most of my career in Wayne County, Michigan, which is just a small little area, but just to see the corruption and the things that go on there, and how just a mayor or somebody like Kwame could have so much power, you know, just think of that on a worldwide scale. I mean, there's people with they say close to $1 trillion now.
they can make shit happen. There's no doubt about it. Um, you know, it just I'm just amazed, and really, I'm just amazed that more heads haven't rolled over this than what have.
The right person gets their hands on that list, and maybe it will come out one day. But you never know. It'll be interesting. I know I'm not on the list, so I'll be happy
I'm
to
not
hear it. I
either.
don't care.
I've never
I
been
say
on one of
whoever's
those
on it,
small
if they were
jets.
screwing around with kids, they need to get their nuts chopped off. I don't care.
They need
If
it.
it's
They
something I
need it.
think I like
I,
or I don't like, I don't care. I don't know any of those people.
yeah, I'm the same way. I don't care how much money you have. You don't mess with kids. You know, just
Yep.
plain and simple. You just don't do it. If you do it, you need to you need to pay the price for it. And
Just put them
there's
all away
something
and
else.
start. You know,
Something
one of
else.
them might. Just say for instance. No, I'm not going to say anything else. I can't say anything else.
Well, you know, I'll tell you
Yeah.
one of the things that irks me the most is that they've sealed the files on the Kennedy assassination for 100 years. Now, what's in it that they don't want the people to know? You know, I mean, that is,
Yeah.
you know, that pisses me off. You're a no whack job, Greeny. There's plenty of evidence strongly suggests that Epstein had a list of world leaders, former U.S. presidents. Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, you guys have all seen the Pelican list. I don't want to say too much in case I'm too close. I don't want to be like, what's Pretty Woman? What's her name? The Pelican.
Julia Roberts.
Pelican brief.
Yeah.
Julia Roberts. Yeah. I don't want to end up having to run around. So I guess I'll keep everything else to myself.
What about Julia Roberts? How does she fit into this?
You don't know the movie, The Pelican Brief, the book movie, The Pelican Brief?
Oh yeah. That's okay.
That's a good one. If you haven't seen it, or watch that, or read the book.
I think I have seen it. Yeah, that's where the president, and she's screwing the president of the United States, and she has a boyfriend in the Navy. Is that the one? Richard Gere, right?
No.
That was Pretty Woman.
Sorry.
You're getting Pretty Woman and American Gigolo or something all mixed up. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not a movie expert.
No,
they all blend together after a while.
She had a boyfriend that was he was an attorney or something, and
I remember watching it.
A professor. He was a professor, and she was a college student in law school, and she wrote this brief hypotheticalizing a big event like that, conspiracy, and it turned out she was right on the money.
Oh, crap.
And people ended up dying because the wrong people got their hands on this brief. And then they came after her. I remember
something. I may have watched that.
That's great. I think, is it a Grisham? I can't remember if it's a Grisham or not. Might be a Grisham book.
I've probably got the book. My wife reads all of his stuff. Sure. Consenting adults and kids are definitely never should be in that situation. And neighbor who tied his kid to a tree in the backyard in the sun in San Diego. Yeah, that's crazy stuff. People will do some weird stuff. Saram was a Marshall Army candidate, proven that he could do it over and over again. Yeah, it's wild
Picked
stuff.
Up the phone and said, "Kill him."
Man, well, it's. I still, like I said, the Kennedy thing is just they should release the files on it and let people know. What's this one say? The cops, the neighbor on the other side, and I told him to watch. I told the guy never again. But it's just we as the public can only theorize. I don't think that, I don't think we'll ever know the truth about some things, and I think it's a damn shame. But it's just the way that things work.
We know, as much about these things on our planet as we do like outside of our universe. There's things we'll never know. There's secrets. There's, where the frick's Jimmy Hoffa? I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh, he's buried in some cement pond somewhere, or fed to an alligator somewhere.
He's buried in the Meadowlands under the stadium.
Who knows? Crazy stuff goes on. We just, it's
interesting to talk about. Throw around these little theories.
Yeah, well, some of this stuff, when you think about it, when you really think deep about it, you're better off not thinking about it. And
right.
It's just some weird stuff that goes on. But who knows? But yeah, like you said, the list on Epstein, if nothing else, just to let people know what's going on, and they're not doing it. At least not right yet, anyway. But, excuse me. How many times can you ride on an airplane and go to Lolita Island or whatever the hell he called it, not know what's going on? I don't know. It's beyond me. What do you think, Charlie? I know it. Spit it out, buddy.
Well, I like I said at the beginning, there's not a lot of people that agree with me. I think that the official report is what really happened, and it's not just because those two pled guilty. It's because I saw a picture that really got my attention on the day that the two prison guards, the two corrections people, pled guilty. They were on the steps of the courthouse, and they were surrounded by about 400 of their coworkers in support of them. And that's what convinced me, because these are all the people that would really know what was going on. And if these two had actually been paid off by some nefarious, puppeteer somewhere, they wouldn't have gotten that support. They had the support of their peers, and I'm not, there's other reasons that I'm not even going to go into because, they're not conclusive. This isn't conclusive either. But to me, it was like, oh, okay. These people defended themselves. These two corrections people. It was, like I said, it was a man and a woman, and they were They defended themselves for months and was in the papers, and everything they said and everything they did was reported thousands of times in speculation, but they never opened their mouth, not once. Whoever their lawyer was gave them good instructions to do not talk to press, and they did. And the first time they talked to the press was after it was all done. They made a deal. Okay, they're going to plead guilty to fudging the entries in the logbook, and they got a slap in the wrist kind of punishment. I forget what it was, but they didn't go to jail. They may not have even lost their jobs. I don't remember, frankly. But they were given a slap on the wrist. And out on the steps of the courthouse, when they were making their first public statement, they were surrounded by hundreds of their coworkers. And that presence of their coworkers told me they're on the level, because if they weren't, they wouldn't have got that kind of support.
Did the union support them? Do you know?
I want to say yes. I think so. Yeah. I think they paid for the lawyers. But
Okay.
Certainly the rank and file did. Their coworkers, where they were saying, "Hey, look, we undergo a lot of crap in these understaffed, poorly run facilities where you put, the most dangerous people in the world and under our care, and we screw up sometimes, but whatever." That's the conclusion that I reached based on that photograph. It's like, okay, this is on the level. It's probably what they say actually happened, and the fact that there was a video camera out, they're talking about a place that wouldn't let the fire department in when the place was on fire. Keep that in mind. They're not exactly run according to the rules. That's right.
That's funny. Oh Lordy. Well, it's not an easy job working in a correctional facility, and and I'll be honest with you, one of my first night on the job, the guy who trained me, he'd been back there for years. First thing he did was teach me how to sleep back there. Tell me how many rolls of toilet paper I needed to stick underneath my head on the weight bench back there, and that was the first training I had as a correctional officer, is how to sleep. So,
and you got to remember, this high-profile guy, Jeffrey Epstein, we know so much about now that we're talking about, global conspiracies to quiet him down and all this other stuff. Which, if you want to believe that, fine. I can't prove that. I can't prove anything against those theories. But to a corrections officer working at the Federal Detention Center in Lower Manhattan, he's just another high-profile scumbag amongst many. That they've gone through that place day in and day out, and they're like, okay, we got to put this dude on a suicide watch. Make sure you go past every couple of hours and make sure he hasn't killed himself. And how many, suicides have there been in that place? And there's been, I think the numbers were about 1 or 2 a year would occur in that place. So suicides were not unheard of. People, in that very unit that he was in, but he had a lot of shit on a lot of people. I think we got all the information. We know who was on his plane. Him Bill Gates, and everybody else.
At the time he was locked up, he was. I mean, when this was all happening in real time, he was the highest profile prisoner in the country. And you mean to tell me the video didn't work? I'm the highest profile person locked up in the country at that time. I mean, that's just. A lot of people should lost their jobs over that.
I'm going to comment on that part of what you're saying, Greenie. If, and this is the way we were trained, if somebody came into the jail who was anybody, you made extra care that everything was done properly, everything was documented, everything was. I mean, you were checking on them, and I'm not saying that it was. I'm not saying that it wasn't. But I'm just saying that those two that were asleep, just
and the camera did. They were asleep.
They screwed up good. Yeah, if what happened, they, I mean, it's. When you think about it, somebody high profile like that, you're going to check on them. You're going to, cross your I's and dot your T's.
He could have hung himself These guys, oh shit, we fell asleep. Oh, here's the film. God damn it, we missed it. We missed it live.
Yeah.
He hung himself. But for the camera to be out on the highest profile prisoner in the United States of America, in the United States federal system, and the camera not be working, you don't think they'd check the camera to make sure it's working? You don't think we had cameras for every cell, and I think we had 17 room for 17 people just in a little lockup in my shitty little city that I worked. And you would know if a camera was not working. You think that they wouldn't know that the camera's not working on Jeffrey friggin' Epstein?
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
I can just tell you that it wouldn't, in the jail that I worked at, it wouldn't have happened. I mean,
That
the
shit
camera
doesn't
would
happen.
not have been out.
That
the
does
camera
not
would have
happen.
been
There's
out.
so much monkey business going on. And maybe he did kill himself. Maybe they got the word to him, listen, you're done. Your family, this person, that person, they're all gonna be dead. You need to do the right thing and take care of yourself. That could have happened,
Yeah.
even though that secondary autopsy said didn't. I'm not, but no way was that camera just not working for the highest profile prisoner in the country at that moment. And not that other people weren't higher at different times, but with the media attention and everything on this case and him being locked up, he was the highest profile prisoner at that moment. Like Google search, if you Googled a name, he would be higher than Sirhan Sirhan or any of the other people locked up at that time.
In normal circumstances, if his camera went out, he would have been moved to another cell where the camera was working.
The camera would have been fixed.
Yeah, or
anybody
fixed.
wants to come after me, my real name, because I just like go by Greenie, but my actual name is Hillary Clinton. So if you got a problem with me, you know where to find me. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I'll tell you what.
Sorry,
I watched something on TV about that whole Arkansas conspiracy thing, and it's just that's some wild shit, And I mean, I don't know. It's above my pay grade, but when you watch something and you think, how the hell did that happen? How did this go? Why did this happen? And why has nobody done this? Why has nobody done that? And you're sitting there thinking about it.
It's a crazy freaking world.
Well, I don't know if it's a crazy free world. I think that sometimes the people who are responsible for looking after stuff like that just kind of turn their head. I don't know. It's just too much there. But we will probably never know the true answers to it. Just like the Kennedy assassination, we'll know what they tell us, and that's it. And I think that's that's not right.
There's a Stephen King book about the Kennedy assassination, and I don't remember the name of the book, but what the title of the book is, The Date of the Assassination. That's the title of the Stephen King book. And if you're into it's about this guy that found a wormhole that he could keep going back into the past, and he was trying to prevent the assassination. But every time he did some step, it would change something else. And it's a really good book. It's 11/22/63. Mr.
Write that down.
Put that on there, Bougain. And it's a really good book if you're into that stuff. I only read a few Stephen King books. I didn't get into any of them, but this one I did get into because it was it seems like a lot of accurate historical stuff, but then mixed into this science fiction type thing. And I love that book.
It's I don't know. It's just there's just too many things, too many unanswered questions about things that should be common knowledge, and it stinks. It just stinks. And, like I said, we'll probably never know the truth about it. The term conspiracy has been redefined by the English Oxford as people probably telling. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one, and that's probably the truth. It is probably the truth. After England just returned from Asia and have a lovely time, but now getting back onto social media again. Hope everybody's doing fine. Yeah, we're all doing great here. Everything's going good. Things are picking up and kind of getting back to normal. traffic's picked up, money's starting to flow again, and that was another thing when the tourists started flowing. The baht started to increase against the dollar. I don't know what it is right now, but I think it's what 35.9 or something. Have you looked today?
You got that, and then there was that not G7, but that Asian summit with the vice president of the United States, all that stuff. They want to push it up, but I don't know if we're done. I think people are like, I put that one video on Greeny, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. But I think once the high season gets over, I think it's going to creep back up over next summer. Because those predictions and they weren't my predictions. That's what experts were saying by like next September. That's when they think it's going to be at its high point, close to 40. So that's not my. I just was regurgitating things that I had read.
Yeah, I missed your video. What did you say that people were telling you that you were?
Oh, just that within a year it's going to be about 40 the exchange rate.
I've read that too.
It dipped down a little bit, but it'll probably go back up.
No. I think we're probably seeing a false growth thing here that I mean, we may see it for a few months here, but I'm like you. I think, after things kind of settle out and even out, the baht will, the dollar value will go back up again. And part of it is not only the baht increasing, but the dollar has devalued a little bit, not that much. So, but I think it'll come back up to, like you said, I think it'll go 39.40. It got very, very close. That's for sure. We'll just have to wait.
Well, here's the thing with currency, the Forex market, currency exchanges. It's hard to point at any one given currency because it's one currency compared to another. And the US dollar is what you compare most of them to most of the time. The value of a currency is very much related to the interest rates that are set by central banks. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the Fed is sending signals that they're a little less bullish on raising rates is what has brought the U.S. dollar down compared to the baht in the last 2 weeks, I suppose, week or two. Yeah. Now, what's going to happen in the future? Good luck with that. There's a lot of people who make predictions, but it's really a pretty unpredictable market. But having said that, I'm going to predict that if we have a strong tourist season, which everything is pointing to us going to have it, that means that there's a lot of foreign money, including U.S. dollars, but a lot of foreign money coming in to Thailand, raising their foreign exchange reserve, which will increase the value of the Thai baht. So I'm predicting that you're going to see somewhere between 30 and 32 by March.
Yeah,
write that down.
Soon.
You get my pen.
In the absence of any crazy things happening in the world, because then all bets are off. But if the Federal Reserve continues to be less aggressive about raising rates, and the tourism in Thailand continues to grow, which it looks like it will, that should bolster the baht because money's coming in, and the U.S. dollar should soften a little bit because the interest rates are going up less aggressively. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm predicting 32. Let's say 32 by March 1st. How's that for a bold prediction?
I'm thinking about doing an investing YouTube channel, and then people can listen and watch, and whatever I say to do, if they do the opposite, they'll be rich.
There's a whole subreddit that does that with that guy. Who's that guy that yells all the financial advice? Kramer, the Kramer guy. There's an investment channel on Reddit that whatever Kramer says, they go against them. And apparently they're doing pretty well.
I saw a video about that. There was something on Netflix or one of the channels about that.
Yeah, right. I think I watched it. Yeah, it was like, Kramer has made some pretty bizarre, but this guy gets up in the morning and has to go in, to a TV show and make predictions about stocks every day. He's bound to get a couple wrong, and he's gotten them wrong in the past in a big way. So they float them out. It's like nobody. Here's the thing about markets. They're fundamentally unpredictable. In a short term, within a window of time, you can pick out trends, and if you're good at that, you can make money at it. But over time, shit happens that you just can't predict, and markets go in bizarre directions, especially the forex market, the currency markets. That's the world's largest market. Most people don't realize that billions of dollars a day are traded on the forex market. It's a crazy market. I studied the forex market wanting to be a day trader, and I learned enough about it to know I have no business in that business. That's above my pay grade, as Bill said.
Yeah.
So I stayed out of it.
Well, guys, we've been in for an hour. I'll let you all go. Appreciate everybody coming in. And, if you've got some ideas for topics or something that you want to hear us talk about, just shoot me an email or something, and we'll be here next week, same time. I'll be here. If these guys want to come in, they're always welcome, and we'll see who else comes in. But
I think
anyway,
my friends left, so I think I'm pretty clear. And then in 2 weeks, I'll be on another show after this at 10. I'll be at the Richard Travel in 2 weeks. This at 8 and that at 10. So I'll definitely be around that.
You gonna get a makeup artist?
No, I don't know. You want to buy on it too, and I may tell him, all right, maybe she'll come on for like 15 minutes or 10 minutes because I don't know, just slows things down.
All right, guys, take care. We'll see you later.
Take care now.
Thanks for coming in, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.